Think the dream life built on YouTube fame is easy? Well, for every $1 million mansion you see, there are tens of thousands of basement studios and unpaid creators. Statistically, 90% of new channels never even get those first 1,000 subscribers. Most quit within a few years, unable to ever turn their passion into profit. So, when a handful rise to the very top, what makes their journey different? Let's go back, way back, before the cash started rolling in. Here's Markiplier. It might be hard to imagine now, but this wasn't instant fortune. While there's some natural humor in him from the start, this is amateur hour on a shoestring budget, but something fueled him to persevere. Psychologists call it grit, the ability to stick with a goal for years, even when success seems impossibly far off. Let's rewind 10 years. Turns out that journey, the fight just to be noticed, began way back in 2012. Years of Markiplier toiling away with minimal views, minimal gear upgrades, maybe even facing moments of self-doubt. Most channels like that don't last past the 4-year mark, the point where monetization even becomes possible. Yet he kept going. Call this grit. And as we go further in his saga, we'll see grit wasn't the only key player to his success. Persistence pays off in the long run. We see that with Markiplier. Yet sometimes it's more like striking a match versus feeling a bonfire. That's the journey our next YouTuber took. Someone who grasped an even deeper psychological truth about what gets audiences obsessed almost overnight. Let's shift gears from the slow burn of Markiplier's success to Caseoh. Almost instant success upon arriving on the scene. Why so fast? Because while Markiplier was grinding it out, Caseoh discovered a core need we crave online: belonging. We don't just want content, we want personalities that feel like an extension of our friend group. It wasn't $1 million studio or a top of the line gear that sparked that explosive growth. No, Caseoh played on a budget, and let's be honest, those early clips weren't polished art. That's not what hooked viewers. They saw a relatable guy genuinely having fun, reacting the way any one of them might have while hanging out with a buddy. They saw themselves in him, the laughs, the frustrations. That authenticity built a connection faster than slick production ever could. Psychologists talk about the sense of belonging being a prime motivator. Well, Queso created that, like inviting folks into an exclusive hangout spot, except one without limits on how many could join. That's how viewers became invested, because while other creators played a role, he felt real. Now, back when Caseoh was building a community from a trailer park and Markiplier was grinding away unnoticed, we have early Mrbeast. Not someone you'd call relatable exactly. I don't think anyone can say they've ever truly related to Mrbeast. There are not many people with that level of ambition and drive. Stunts screaming, "I'm rich," when he wasn't rich at all. Mrbeast tossed going broke to the wayside and risked it all on his career. See, where other YouTubers grew steadily, Mrbeast understood how psychology drives viewership. We crave high stakes. Remember his early stuff? Those weren't safe experiments. Those were risks. Those were financial and physical risks at his then level. The constant reinvesting every last cent of earnings. It might look insane to most, but behavioral economists understand that kind of gamble mentality, you make bigger sacrifices for a potentially bigger payoff. Every big video was a betting it all move, because if the audience didn't love it, his next idea might not fly with sponsorships gone. At that tension, the potential for him to lose on such a huge scale, that kept people tuned in to see if Mrbeast could make the impossible into a profitable reality. It wasn't just money spent, it was his personal reputation on the line each and every time. Okay, let's bring this full circle. Persistence wins long term, but calculated risks gets you there quicker. Connection draws audience, but scaling that into serious income takes risks few are willing to shoulder. The $1 million question is, could you follow their blueprint? Not necessarily to become the next Mrbeast, but to build your dream life doing what you love. This might inspire those first steps, or just confirm how tough this YouTube game can be. Let's recap. There is no single right path on YouTube. You can play the long game like Markiplier, steadily building an empire brick by brick through passion and perseverance. That grit against all odds is a form of success many won't ever taste. Then there's the Caseoh method, connecting with an audience by being yourself, flaws and all, to a level that others have not seen before. That emotional bond built his kingdom at a breakneck pace others envy, with an authenticity few manage to cultivate. Remember, this started from humble beginnings. Proof you don't need top-tier gear, just yourself. Finally, there's the high-stakes world of Mrbeast. That willingness to bet it all repeatedly fuels massive growth, or potentially massive failure in equal measure. His strategy tapped into how we not just see money, but risk itself. An almost voyeuristic pleasure in that will he pull it off suspense. This creates not just fans, but rabid viewers invested in his success, for better or for worse. Now, the $1 million question. Literally, could you do what they did. Not becoming the next multimillionaire overnight, but finding the version of success that lets you make the leap. Live life on your own terms. Do what you love and earn by making others smile. Maybe you realize this path is too risky for you, or maybe these stories of grit, connection, and calculated risk ignite a spark. It all starts with that first video. You never know when a side hustle becomes your empire.